Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. We've got special guests coming up this weekend. We've got Stacy, Skelly, and Amy Reilly going to be talking about student assessment tests. This is the time of year that kids are all taking those, so... Do you remember taking like the SATs and those kind of things when you were a kid? Did you do well?
I did very well.
What did you get for a score on the SATs?
I don't remember what the range was, but I know that I was way above average. I guessed really, really well.
I only got one wrong, so I did real good.
You did not.
No, I did. Seriously, I got one after another, after another. Hey, you ready for some quotes for this weekend?
Sure.
All right. The quote for Saturday is, "There is only one boss, the customer, and he can fire everybody in the company from the chairman on down simply by spending his money somewhere else."
You bet.
You know who said that? Walmart founder Sam Walton.
Ah.
And Sunday, World Book and Copyright Day. The quote is, "Whenever you read a good book, somewhere in the world, a door opens to allow in more light." Vera Nazarian. So there you go. Very nice. Coming up, a lot of special things going on this weekend. We'll tell you all about it in a bit.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. Let's do the whole darn weekend. Saturday, April the 22nd is Earth Day. Chemists celebrate the Earth Day as well. Girl Scout Leaders Day, Global Selfie Earth Day. So the NASA astronauts take selfies with Earth today, apparently.
Okay.
In God We Trust Day, Mother Earth Day, National Dance Day, and National Jelly Bean Day. Also, Sunday, April the 23rd.
I wonder what Jelly Bean Day would be after Easter.
I don't know. Well, sometimes maybe Easter is here, because Easter kind of fluctuates, so I don't know. Anyway, Sunday, April the 23rd, English Language Day, Impossible Astronaut Day, National Lost Dog Awareness Day, Movie Theater Day, Talk Like Shakespeare Day, World Book Copyright Day, and World Book Night. All of that going on this weekend. A lot of stuff going on this weekend.
I guess so.
And, World Book Day and Copyright Day. So all that stuff. Anyway, thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show this weekend.
John and Heidi.
How much do you pay for cable or satellite? Don't forget your DVR rental fees and online movie accounts. When you add it all up, many people are paying well over $100 a month. Some pay way more. What if you could cut that down to zero? There's a device that surfs the net to find shows and programs you like with no monthly fee. Many have already cut their cable or tossed out their dish. If you have internet and a TV, you're all set. Learn more about this awesome technology that can save you money every month at channelsurfertv.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 25% at channelsurfertv.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Heidi, if you're driving down the road and somebody pulls out right in front of you, what's something that you might say? Oh, wait, not you.
Do you really want me to answer that question?
No. You might say, "Are you blind?" See?
Probably not.
That's not what you would say?
What I would say.
Well, that's what some people would say. Heidi would say things we'd have to bleep right now. But anyway, you might say that to a motorist that pulls out in front of you. And if you ask that in Germany, you might be right. You might even hear the person shout back, "Yes, as a matter of fact, I am blind." When police in Germany saw a car weaving slowly down a street, they discovered the driver was blind. He told police he always wanted to try to drive.
Oh, my gosh.
So he borrowed a car and took it for a spin. He insisted he was being extremely careful and assured the police that he was taking it in stages by driving a few feet, then getting out to walk around the car to check for obstacles. He had gone about 50 feet before callers notified the police. They called and said, "Hey,
there's a blind guy driving.
You guys might want to come over and check this out." Who would allow the driver
insane.
to drive? I could see, okay, I just want to say this. I would do this if I was in the vehicle with them, kind of telling them, "Okay, stop, slow, no, go, no, now stop." I would do that. I would do that.
What?
I absolutely would. If I had a blind friend that said, "I've never had the ability to drive because I'm blind," I'd say, "Well, let's go somewhere safe. Get in a car and drive in a parking lot." I would do that. I would absolutely do that.
You are an idiot.
No, I'm a nice friend.
You are an
nice
idiot.
friend. That's what But this person is such a nice
friend. You would be
friend.
in our next moment of duh.
This person is such a nice friend. They gave him the keys and just said, "Take the car. Come back when you're done if you survive."
That is such a bad idea.
Who would do that? That just seems like a terrible plan. Anyway, it happened in Germany. And you know it's true? because you heard it on the radio.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. The police felt like they, might have a pretty simple time finding this suspect, Heidi. They were searching for a man who attempted to steal a bottle of rum and some soft drinks from a drugstore. The man was described as being about 20 years old, just over 6 feet tall, approximately 300 pounds, and he was wearing a black dress.
Okay.
And he escaped in a red four-door Kia.
Okay.
There's probably not going to be a lot of those. 300-pound, 20-year-old, 6-foot-tall guys wearing a black dress, driving a red Kia. That's kind of narrows it down.
Huh.
Maybe it was a different 6-foot-tall, 300-pound dude in a dress. Yeah, you can go. I'm sure it was somebody else. Anyway, that's what happens when your brain is on drugs. Coming up, we've got your moment of da.
John and Heidi.
Now your moment of duh. A Texas woman is trying to retrieve something out of her toilet, and she ends up getting her hand stuck in the toilet.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
So stuck that they had to call rescue workers. How much would that suck?
That's embarrassing.
The police and the fire department all had to show up to help her, and they had to remove the toilet from the floor, carry the toilet, and the woman walked along out to the backyard. Police then used a hammer, a big sledgehammer, to gently break apart the toilet so she could get her hand out of there. And by the way, I'm sure what you're thinking is, man, I'd love to watch a video of that. Good news, I have it on our Facebook page. Yeah, her friend, and I'm going to say with air quotes, friend.
Yeah, with friends
because,
like that.
You know, she couldn't call the police herself, so the friend had to call the police. Maybe the friend should have just said, tell you what, if they're going to have to break the toilet anyway, how about we just do that here? Otherwise, if they come over, I'm going to be videotaping this, there. And her friend was even saying on the video, mind if I put this on Facebook? And she's like, no, don't do that. It's all over the place. Anyway, you can see it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
The scoop of the day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now your scoop of the day. Took Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch about 15 minutes on his first day before he started asking questions. So very first day, he went right to work saying, okay, let's get down to business. Let's do this. Netflix expects to cross the 100 million customer barrier this weekend, Heidi.
That's cool.
100 million customers. And you know
Good
how
for
many
them.
accounts that is? 7.
100 million.
7 accounts. Now, have you ever noticed that
A lot of people share their...
we don't have... I had a Netflix trial account, and I let it expire, and our daughter is so mad at me because there was a show on there she wanted to watch. I just don't need it. We've got that
I
thing.
couldn't handle watching her show.
No, she was watching Glee.
Oh,
my wife over here was.
gosh.
But we don't need it because we have the thing from channelsurfertv.com, so we don't need that one. So
My
I'm like,
ears
I
were
don't need,
bleeding.
I don't need them
my
both.
eyes were bleeding. It was
So-
horrendous.
Your eyes
show.
weren't bleeding.
They were bleeding.
Just felt like it. Scientists say they have discovered that salt does not make you thirsty. So all of those bartenders over the years putting pretzels on the bar,
These
so you
pretzels are making me thirsty.
get thirsty. Well, scientists have discovered they don't make you thirsty. Instead, salt makes you hungry. So you got that going for you. Starbucks is calling a limited time beverage that changes colors and flavors with the stir of a straw a, quote, unicorn frappuccino. Have you ever heard of this?
No.
The chain says the drink was inspired by the trend of a unicorn-themed food online, and it starts out purple with a sweet, fruity taste, changes to pink and tart after it's stirred to mix in a blue drizzle. Anyway, it's available, I suppose. Is it still available?
I don't
know.
I
when it
don't
is.
go there.
It says for a
so-
limited time. It's got the dates on here, through the 23rd. Oh yeah, so through this weekend. Guy in China had a really brainy idea because he was going to be out of town on a business trip, and he thought, how can I keep my cash safe? I don't want someone to break into the house and be able to find my money. Where can I hide it where nobody would think to find it? oh, I'm going to put it over here in the garbage can. Well, it's a great idea.
Oh, somebody took his garbage
He
out.
might have maybe told his wife that he was going to do this.
Man.
Yeah. He forgot. He forgot to tell her when they got home. About a day later, the wife threw away the garbage and the money. So he didn't
Well,
tell
why
her.
wouldn't you throw away the garbage? You're leaving town
understand.
for a few days. You don't want the garbage stinking up the house
But
while you're gone.
it was when she got home that she did, because they were gone together. And when she got home, she's like, well, I'm going to get all this stuff tidied up. And she threw away the trash. And it was like 2 days later, he's going, hey, where did the garbage go from the kitchen? In the garbage.
Yeah. threw it
Yeah, there was
away.
$6,000 in there.
What
Way to
an
go.
idiot.
And I bet there are people digging through landfills right now in China. Scientists predict that 42% of Americans will be obese by the year 2030. Finally, I beat you there. The first at something. Want another reason to not drive while tired, Heidi?
Sure.
According to a survey by AAA, or AAA, I think is what some people call them, in Washington, D.C., by the way, they say 9 out of 10 police officers have thought a driver was drunk when it turns out they were just overtired. But you have the same type of driving problems by being tired as by being drunk, and there are people now that are saying there should actually be charges against that, driving while tired.
I could see that.
And finally, another stereotype has been shattered as we learn that men love to shop, as long as it's from, the comfort of their own home. A new survey says men are spending more money online than women. Guys are spending 20 to 30% more per transaction, and 84% of the purchases are for who, Heidi?
For themselves.
Yeah, for them. They're buying stuff for themselves. Number one website for dudes is Amazon. So there you go. And I wonder what the percentage of, because 84% of purchases for men are for men, for themselves. I wonder what percentage of purchases for women are for themselves. I bet it's less than that.
Probably.
Because you guys are so giving. I mean, my wife over here, she's always buying me stuff. It's usually stuff I didn't ask for and don't want, but she's getting it anyway. Oh, great. Another beautiful shirt that I'm never going to wear.
Hey, the shirts that I buy you are way nicer than the shirts that you wear.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Let me hang this in the back of the closet and forget I own it.
You're so mean to me.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Imagine the sand between your toes and an ice-cold drink in your hand. Join us this November for 80s in the Sand.
Week-long event with 80s music from over a dozen awesome bands.
Plus, meet 80s icons from the movies like Anthony Michael Hall, Andrew McCarthy, and several others.
Get all the details at 80sinthesand.com.
Use promo code RADIO to get a $200 immediate refund per person.
The website is 80sinthesand.com.
Book your week-long 80s vacation right now at 80sinthesand.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for joining us on the John and Heidi Show. It's springtime, and for those of you that have kids in school, this is a time where we get to do some testing right now, and it's something that's been happening in the springtime for quite some time. We've got parenting expert Stacy Skelly and Amy Reilly. She's the director of a K-12 Innovative Assessment Solution and a former English teacher, and they're joining us on the line right now. How are you ladies doing today?
Doing great, thank you. Excellent, thanks.
Very, very good. Well, we're excited to have you on the program. Now, how are these assessments created, and why is it something that the kids have to take every spring? What's the point of that? What is the idea behind that?
That's a great question. So these assessments are created through a fairly rigorous process that includes teacher review of all the items that are used. And the purpose behind them is for a couple of different reasons. For one thing, we want to make sure that we understand how our schools and districts are performing. We also want information on the individual students and what their strengths and weaknesses are.
Now, do all students take these at the same time, or are they kind of different times all around the country in different places?
It's really different times around the country. Typically, we do have the majority of our testing in springtime, but depending on where your district or your state is, it could be during a different test window. Same goes if it's for high school students versus elementary or middle school students.
So let's talk about parents right now. What can parents do to help their kids get ready for this testing? Because the testing is important. You want to do well on this. So what can mom and dad do to help?
Absolutely. It's actually one of the chances we have as parents to help our children understand the purpose of something and help put them at ease. As a mom myself, I know how important that is. I encourage all parents actually to talk with their child's teacher, or if perhaps they're in high school, maybe have the child talk to the teacher themselves, but really understand what's being asked of them. There are lots of different formats and kinds of testing that happens, as Amy referenced. And so one of the things you could do is learn a little bit more about what's actually going to be on the assessment, what kinds of questions perhaps there's multiple choice or essays, or are they permitted to have any extra supplies along the way? And then one of the best things you can do is also understand if it's being done on online or paper or pencil.
Very nice. And right now, I just clicked, I see in the information, you guys have a website, PearsonLearningNews.com. So I clicked on that website to kind of follow along and get some information. What can people find on this website? I literally just clicked on it, so I haven't had a chance to cruise through it yet.
Sure. You can find some experts in what Pearson does, so some assessment experts, and also you can find some tips and learn a little bit more about what sort of the future of assessment is going to look like. We've heard a lot about a need to understand what's different and what might be changing, and you can learn a little bit about that there.
With the testing that happens in the springtime, and I guess you said some schools do it at different times, how important is that for each student, and how important is it really for the school system? So is this more of a thing to find out how the school system is doing, or is it also important for each student individually?
It's actually both. These tests, as mentioned, serve multiple purposes. So we do want to understand how students are performing relative to the state standards, to understand whether they've mastered those standards or if perhaps they could benefit from some remediation, or if they're really performing well and could benefit from an enrichment. But we also want to make sure that we understand how our schools and districts are performing, and in particular, different subgroups, such as special ed students or free and reduced lunch students, to make sure that we're serving all students through our learning systems.
The website, once again, I'm on it right now, PearsonLearningNews.com. Thank you, ladies, for taking some time to visit with us today. I know moms and dads out there want to see their kids do well. This is something that's important. Are there any tips that you could give to mom and dad to say, this one thing is probably going to help make a huge difference? What would that tip be?
I think the biggest tip, honestly, John, is that you remember it's just one measure of what the students are learning. So help remind them that it's just one look into what they're doing in the classroom every day.
So this isn't everything. This is just one part of it.
Yeah, it's just one chance to make sure they can prove what they know.
Very nice. Well, thank you, ladies, for sharing what you know. We appreciate that today.
All right. Thank you as well.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, our guests today, we've been visiting about the springtime test that the students take, and it's an annual assessment. I think it's really cool that we do that. And a big thank you to our guest today, parenting expert Stacy Skelly. And we also had Amy Reilly, Director of K-12 Innovative Assessment Solution. She's a former English teacher as well. I'm going to give you the website one more time if you'd like to learn more. I've got the website in front of me here. It's PearsonLearningNews.com. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
It's almost graduation time. If you have a son or daughter finishing high school, you need to hear this. They can go to college without racking up a pile of student loans. Matthew Einstein did. He saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for your kids or for yourself. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20% at freeeducationuniversity.com. That's freeeducationuniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The 3 most common seasonings found in the American home would be seasoned salt, chili powder, and cinnamon. Ding, ding, ding. We've got all of those. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Romans used to believe that walnuts could cure head ailments. So they thought, like, if you had a headache, you could eat a walnut and it would go away. And they thought this because it looked similar to what they thought a brain looked like.
I could see that.
So they thought, ooh, this must be like brain food. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Over 1.2 billion people in the world live on less than $1 a day.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before.
I think we have too. And fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Some Roman statues had detachable heads so they could just change out the head for another person when another person was in charge. Like, okay, we got
That's actually not a bad idea.
we got a new person in charge, so unscrew that head and put this one on.
Then they could give the head to the outgoing leader.
There you go. Take this head and get out of here.
That's
And our
not
final
a bad idea.
fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Baskin-Robbins plain vanilla ice cream accounts for 25% of their sales. So they got all those other flavors. Most of the sales, plain vanilla. Couple of fun facts for you right there on a weekend.
John and Heidi.
Are you tired of the same old 9-to-5 rat race? Sick of not controlling your financial destiny? We partner with a leading health company whose mission is to support you to build a home-based business and help others be healthier, drop excess pounds, and live longer, more rewarding lives. Best of all, everyone who joins after you is placed on your team. No bugging family or friends. Call 866-741-7242 for more information. Or if you like, text the word income to the same number, 866-741-7242. 866-741-7242.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. This story is an interesting story here. It says fatherhood may kick in the old testosterone, but it may also help keep a man alive. Research suggests, that is hard for me to say. You say that. I want to see if it's...
Research suggests.
Yeah, it sounds a little tough for you too. Research suggests that dads are a little less likely to die of heart-related problems than men with no children. The study from AARP and the government and several universities, it's the largest ever on male fertility and mortality, involving nearly 138,000 dudes, Heidi. Although a study like this cannot prove that fatherhood and mortality are related, there are plenty of reasons to think that maybe they are. Several heart disease experts have said marriage and having lots of friends and even having a dog can lower your chance of having heart problems and cardiac-related deaths. Previous research suggests... Why do you got to put those two words together? They say similarly, kids might help you take care, or kids might help take care of you rather, or give you another reason to take better care of yourself. So that's what they're saying. You know what? Maybe this is just common sense. Because, you know, if you're a dad, you're saying, boy, I really want to stick around to be able to see my kids grow old, you know. And I've said that.
That has definitely not been the case in our household, though.
But how many
You've
times...
said it, but do you do anything about it?
Oh, I've done stuff. We're sitting down. I was working on my third cheeseburger. I'm like, I'm not going to finish this one. Okay, I'll finish this one, but I'm not going to have the fourth or fifth one. So maybe not quite that bad. But no, my father died at 49. You never got to meet him. You know, all the stuff he missed out on because he didn't take good care of himself. And that's where I said, I got to do better than him. And I've done better than him. But then again, the bar was set pretty low. So it didn't take much.
John and Heidi.
How much do you pay for cable or satellite? Don't forget your DVR rental fees and online movie accounts. When you add it all up, many people are paying well over $100 a month. Some pay way more. What if you could cut that down to zero? There's a device that surfs the net to find shows and programs you like with no monthly fee. Many have already cut their cable or tossed out their dish. If you have internet and a TV, you're all set. Learn more about this awesome technology that can save you money every month at channelsurfertv.com. Use promo code RADIO to save 25% at channelsurfertv.com.
If you want to live 14 years longer, all you have to do is make some changes to your lifestyle. That's the word from a 13-year British study. None of the wait a minute.
You'd think they had to really study for 13 years to find out you need to make lifestyle changes if you want to live longer.
But here's the thing I think is interesting. If you want to live 14 years longer, just listen to this 13-year study. Shouldn't it be 13 years? I don't know. Anyway, they say everybody's blood was tested to measure vitamin C intake, an indicator on how much fruit and veggies people eat. Each person was assigned a score between 0 and 4, with 1 point given for each of the healthy behaviors. So what are the 4 secrets to a longer life, Heidi? Never smoke, ever. Not even once.
Not even cigars?
Nothing. Eat 5 servings a day of fruits and veggies. Drink alcohol in moderation or not at all. And finally, regular exercise for 30 minutes daily. So 30 minutes of exercise, moderate alcohol, 5 servings of fruits and veggies, and don't smoke, and you are going to live forever. Okay, well, not forever.
It'll feel like it.
13 more years.
You're not having any fun.
No, I could do all of that.
Not eating anything good.
I could do all of that with my arms tied behind my back. I mean, that's, well, maybe not eating the veggies, because somebody's got to, well, you could hold them for me. All right. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Can you imagine... This story just cracks me up. Can you imagine this? A 15-year-old Illinois girl was recently charged with assault and battery because she beat up her boyfriend. Again, she's 15. You know why she beat him up?
Why?
Because he wouldn't kiss her.
Oh.
And I shouldn't laugh because the girl gave the young man quite a walloping, left him with 2 black eyes. The young man told police he didn't fight back because I was taught to not hit a woman, which is nice. The girl confessed to the judge, yeah, they were in court, that she needs to, quote, learn to control her temper, end quote. Do you think?
You think so?
You beat the snot out of your boyfriend because he wouldn't smooch you. I mean, I'm all about getting smooches too, but, you know, I'm certainly not going to beat my wife up because she wouldn't smooch me. I mean, if that was the case, that's all I'd be doing. You never want to smooch me. Come on, give me a smooch.
No, I'm working.
Get over here. No, I shouldn't even joke about it. Like I said, this young lady, 15 years old, she needs to watch her temper because that's not a good thing. Coming up, we're going to talk about things not to do when you're arguing with your partner.
John and Heidi.
It's almost graduation time. If you have a son or daughter finishing high school, you need to hear this. They can go to college without racking up a pile of student loans. Matthew Einstone did. He saved over $70,000 on a top-rate education. Then he built a system to show you how to do it too. Learn how you can use this system for your kids or for yourself. Go to freeeducationuniversity.com. Sign up now and get a free 60-minute private consultation with Matthew. Use promo code RADIO20 to save 20% at freeeducationuniversity.com. That's freeeducationuniversity.com.
John and Heidi.
The good news is, my beautiful wife Heidi and I, we never really fight, do we? We never ever fight. I just wanted to see if you would laugh or what you would say there.
Yeah.
Okay, we argue about the dumbest things.
We fight.
We never fight about anything important, though. Really, it is always over the dumbest things.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, because
But we fight.
We agree on all the major things. But it says here, 6 words to use when arguing with your partner. And I'll read the story. There's a crucial difference between fights that harm your relationship and ones that improve it, according to research from the University of California at Berkeley. It comes down to whether your partner feels like you, quote, get her point of view, end quote. Do you feel like I get your point of view often?
No.
Well,
I don't think you even listen.
What was that? Oh, I'm sorry. Feeling understood actually activates part of your brain associated with reward. It can instantly improve your mood, even in the midst of a heated discussion. So try this. Just say something like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. That right there. Those 6 words. I see where you're coming from. Those 6 words could instantly diffuse your next fight. I'm going to write this down because
I could see that. I could see how that would work.
I can see where you're coming from, Heidi. I can see where you're coming from. You want to go and do a bunch of stuff, and I don't want to do that stuff. I can see where you're coming
But
from.
I can see where you're coming from.
That would be a whole lot more fun than just sitting here and doing nothing. But I'm still not going to go do it. But you won this one because I do see where you're coming
I see
from.
where you come from.
And we got some good news coming your way here in a bit. But first, I got this. This was almost my good news. I just couldn't make it my good news, though. The mother of a man who struck a pastor with his car, killing him, embraced Christianity after witnessing the compassion and forgiveness extended by the church's congregation. I couldn't make that my good news. The guy was killed. That was sad. But the mother of the guy who ran over the pastor and killed him, she saw how this congregation just showed love and mercy, and she became a Christian because of it. I think that's really cool. And that's not the way some people would have probably treated him. I've got the entire story on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
I always like to end this program with some good news. Heidi, I think this is good news. You ready for this?
I'm always ready for good news.
Thanks to a mass act of kindness by Union City, California police officers, the story of a Girl Scout selling cookies who was robbed at gunpoint has a sweet ending. First of all, who would steal from a Girl Scout?
Who's going to rob a Girl Scout at gunpoint?
Let's take a listen to this story. 12-year-old and her mama were selling cookies outside of a California Safeway grocery store. Safeway, not so safe apparently. They were out there when a man approached and said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you about some Girl Scout cookies." He walked off and then returned and allegedly pulled out a handgun.
Holy cow.
And threatened the girl's mother, who handed over an undisclosed amount of their cookie proceeds. The suspect then fled and is still at large. Officer Lisa Garrett said, We see all kinds of awful things, but this is horrible. But then something great happened, Heidi. Sergeant Steve Mendez says, after hearing about the robbery, officers all around the city started, quote, busting out their wallets, end quote. While officers collected donations to cover the money the Girl Scouts lost in the robbery, the Union City Police Officer Association bought out the remaining cookie stock.
Aww.
All told, police officers gave the Girl Scouts over $1,000 that day. That's really
awesome.
cool. And the sad thing is, like I said in the story, the dude that stole the original money is still on the loose. So I wonder if he took any cookies when he was stealing the money.
I would have. If I was going to steal, I'm going to take the cookies too.
I wouldn't have stolen in the first place, but
if
I'm
you're
just
gonna.
saying, going to hankering for some cookies.
It's all sitting there.
Give me all your money and a box of Thin Mints. Okay, give me 2 boxes of Thin Mints, and here's $3 for that. All right. Anyway, if you'd like to read that story, I've got it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Time now for the bonus break on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us right now. We've got Earth Day this weekend, and we've got on the line right now an author that's got a really cool new book that's out, Matthew Shephard, and we're going to talk about 100 plants to feed the bees. How are you doing, Matthew?
I'm fine, thank you.
Now, this is kind of a neat idea for people who want to do some gardening and also do some good at the same time. If they plant these type of plants, not only does their garden look beautiful, but it also helps the bee population as well, doesn't it?
Yes, that's right. That's one of the wonderful things about pollinator conservation and looking after bees is that you do end up with a garden that is just a fantastic place.
Most of these are pretty darn easy as well. They don't require a lot of work once you get them planted, do they?
Hopefully not. And that was part of the thinking behind the book, because we wanted to try and make it simple for gardeners, well, anybody really who has space. So it's not just help them find the plants that will be good for bees, but also plants that will be easy for them to work with.
And again, Matthew's book is called 100 Plants to Feed the Bees. Now, why bees? What is the fascination, and why is it so important that we feed these bees?
Well, bees are really at the heart of a healthy environment. They help the plants grow. I mean, the fact that they're moving pollen around, they don't get up each morning and go, wow, I've got to go pollinate. I've got to move that pollen. They go to feed. But in feeding and foraging and moving from one flower to another, they're moving pollen between the flowers. And that pollen is essential to ensure that the flowers can have another generation produce the seeds, produce the fruits, and then grow again.
So a few years ago, there was a movie that came out, the Bee Movie. Jerry Seinfeld was a part of that. Have you seen the movie? And is there, I understand that talking bees part probably isn't real, but, the overall picture, is that kind of what's going on right now?
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, the fact that bees are out there on the flowers and moving the pollen around and all of that, I mean, I don't think bees can really lift a jetliner. They don't have those little pollen guns to do the work for them. They're certainly out there working for us.
So some of that was just fiction.
Here and there, a few details, yeah.
There you go. Again, on the line right now with Matthew Shephard. He's got a new book that's out right now called 100 Plants to Feed the Bees. Now, we talked a little bit about why bees, but now why the worry? Is there something going on right now that we should all be concerned about with bees?
Yeah, definitely. Bees are part of our landscape, and every time there's a change in our landscape, that impacts the bees. So new developments or really intensive agriculture, the use of insecticides in our landscapes, all these different things that are reducing the number of flowers that are available or directly impacting bees. I mean, but when we think of wildlife conservation, we tend to think of eagles and bears and wolves and all the big stuff. But bees are just one more part of our wildlife, and they're impacted by all the same things that affect the other things out there.
So in addition to the flowers, do bees need other things as well in order to have a nice environment to live?
Yeah, I mean, in ideal garden, there would be the flowers for the bees to feed on, but there would also be somewhere for them to make their nests. And this doesn't mean a wooden box or a hive, because there are about 3,600 species of bees in North America, and almost all of those are solitary, so one female is making her own nest. And often all that means is she needs to access a patch of bare ground where she can tunnel into the ground to to make her nest, have a few cells underground and take the nectar and pollen into those cells and lay her eggs. So, yeah, I mean, if they got somewhere to lay their eggs and some flowers to feed on, then they'll be happy.
Very cool. Now, again, with this weekend, Earth Day is happening, and there are people that are saying, man, I'd really like to make a difference. You know, not everybody can plant a tree. Not everybody can make a huge difference by doing some of the major things. But, you know, if you've got a place to put out some flowers, even if you live in an apartment, you could probably put some flowers like in a window planter or something and do a little something, couldn't you?
Yes, that's right. We find bees everywhere we go, in our neighborhoods, in our parks, on our farms. And that means that all of those places could be used to help bees as well. As you say, if you've got planters on your deck, or maybe you have a community garden in your local park, or maybe you do have an acre of suburbia that you look after. Everywhere you can find a space to put some plants in.
Very nice. Again, our guest today, Matthew Shephard. He's the author of 100 Plants to Feed the Bees, and that book is available right now. But I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite? Is there one plant in there that you say, boy, these are just beautiful, and these are the ones that bees like the most? Is there one that's like the most popular plant?
There's so many fantastic plants out there. I personally love asters because they come out late in the summer. Milkweed is really a superb plant if you can grow it, because not only is it a wonderfully rich source of nectar for the bees, but it also is the essential food plant for monarch caterpillars. So it's one of those plants that really does double duty in your garden.
Very, very nice. And I see there's some other things on here like oregano and thyme, things that you could maybe even utilize as well.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, if you're growing a garden, you're going to want to have a garden for yourself as well. And so you can create a beautiful spot, but also if you're a cook and you love using herbs in your cooking, then as you mentioned, there's oregano and rosemary and thyme and basil and coriander. Those are all excellent plants that will help make your cooking nice and also help the bees.
Absolutely. Matthew, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us today.
Thank you so much, too.
Again, Matthew Shephard has been our guest. He is the author of 100 Plants to Feed the Bees. It's available right now, and it's available in time for Earth Day, which happens to be going on this weekend. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.